2,000 years later.
Oh, hey! I've just been wandering the wasteland as of late searching for my lost son. You know, I feel like there was something else important I was supposed to do. Oh, one moment, please.
12 seconds later.
Hello everypony, I am Critical Thought, and yeah, I apologize for getting caught up in the Commonwealth Wasteland for the past 2 months. Todd Howard, you time-eating devil! Anyway, while I sit here waiting for PS4 mods to finally be a thing, I guess I should get back to making reviews here on this channel. Today we're going to look at the Saddle Row Review, Nick Confalone's 4th script for the series. I did think his last story, No Second Prances, was adequate despite some flaws. Will this new episode in Season 6 be an improvement, or will he continue down the path of writing bad episodes for FIM? Let's find out. We start the episode with the main five rushing towards Carousel Boutique while delivering a heap ton of exposition about a newspaper article they regrettably contributed to that reviewed Rarity's new boutique in Manhattan. When they get there, Rarity greets them at the door, excited to be able to read the article with her friends. However, the main five don't share the excitement due to them fearing Rarity will find out how they ruined the opening of the boutique.
I have an idea. How about we don't read it? What she means is, before you read it, we should probably tell you about... No, darlings. Please, no spoilers. But no spoilers!
Said every brony on Twitter ever for every new episode. Theme. We then find out that Rarity's new boutique is called Rarity for You, and that each of the main five help contribute to the opening. I believe I've said it before in other reviews, but even if I haven't, I'll say it here. Rarity does not seem to understand the concept of branding. Sure, she is a well-known and well-respected figurehead in the fashion world, and sure, that does help drive some traffic to her businesses, but it still boggles my mind why Rarity doesn't try to keep all her shops consistently named so ponies can tie her name to that brand. Carousel Boutique is already a pretty damn good name. She really should just roll with it and tack on a hyphen with the location of every city she has one in, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel every time she opens a new store. But that's just a small complaint with the franchise as a whole, not really this particular episode.
I sat down with Rarity and her friends after the opening to get the inside scoop. And what a scoop it was!
What reporter says inside scoop anymore? What is this, the 1940s? But then again, I guess that's really more of a film and TV trope that hasn't been outgrown than a true fault of the writer here. Also, I caught that Pulp Fiction reference. Don't tell me. John Travolta and Saddle L. Jackson? I'm sorry. And they made the reporter J. Jonah Jameson. That's it. Spider Pony confirmed. So Rarity sits down with the reporter and tells him how confident she was that her new boutique in Manhattan would be successful. But as the reporter interviews the other main five, they share dissenting opinions to the contrary, with AJ even declaring that the opening was a disaster. In a flashback within a flashback, we get to see how the opening's events unfolded. It starts with Rarity showing her friends the new location, with tons of work to be done and the opening scheduled for tonight. Here lies my first big complaint with this episode. There is absolutely no reason for Rarity to wait on renovating this location and fixing it up for her new store until the day of her grand opening, other than for dramatic tension. It feels unbelievable and out of character for Rarity to put off something so important such as this till the last minute. As Rarity read from the article earlier before the flashbacks, owning a boutique on Saddle Row is considered one of the greatest achievements in the fashion world. I have an extremely hard time believing Rarity would procrastinate or even be able to hold back her excitement long enough to leave the building in this decrepit state until the day of the opening. It's unrealistic from both a common sense standpoint and a character standpoint, and it will negatively impact how I rate this episode.
Rarity, so good to see you.
Rarity, it's your cousin Roman. Let's go bowling. Mr. Stripes, the landlord for the building, pressures Rarity into giving his daughter a job, threatening her with rent spikes if she doesn't give in. Rarity tries being assertive against hiring her, as she would be more of a hindrance to the store than a helpful employee, but it doesn't quite work. So much for the lesson she taught Fluttershy. The daughter is another complaint I have with this episode. She is one of the cringe-worthiest characters I have ever seen in this show. Her design is like a cheap knockoff of Scootaloo's, her voice is annoying to the point where she makes Pinkie sound like a goddess, and she is totally unfunny in her energetic nature and randomness. She really is a discount Pinkie Pie with a knockoff Scootaloo design. Basically a bad OC. This pony is probably my least favorite character in all of Season 6, and probably one of my top 10 least favorite characters of all time. Still not as bad as Snips and Snails, but pretty bad. Rarity then walks into the back room and screams, calling for Fluttershy's aid. When Flutters gets there, it's revealed that a family of raccoons have been living in the room. Of course, Fluttershy explains the situation to both Rarity and the reporter, that the raccoons' original home was displaced by Mr. Stripes, and they had been living in the back room until they found a new place to live. Rarity storms out of the back room, saying she can't have raccoons living in her boutique, when loud thumping music is heard from the ceiling, which is revealed to be coming from a dance club upstairs that, you guessed it, DJ Pone3 performs at. Finally! We know where she works! Although, I gotta admit that these are some weak tunes for vinyl to be spinning. But then again, there's just 3 ponies on the dance floor. Must be like a Tuesday afternoon or something. She must be saving all her good music till the sun goes down.
Fools today listen to their so-called music far too loud. I realize that makes me sound like an old mare.
Well done, Mr. Confalone. Great comedic moment there.
Well, sweeping can be fun too. Sweep, 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 sweep. Sweep, 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 sweep.
Oh my god, Nick, stop tryharding at being a meme lord. You knew full well that doing this would cause the bronies to immediately meme it, and it's not even a good meme.
Only Twilight could make a dance remix about sweeping. I mean, how lame is that?
Yeah, it wasn't even catchy.
Nope.
At least AJ and Rainbow agree with me that Twilight's sweeping dance remix was contrived and stupid. But that would mean that Nick Confalone just insulted his own writing. What? Granted, it was through a third party, but still. What? More and more continues to go wrong as Rarity's shipment of merchandise from Ponyville arrives completely disorganized, along with... Oh hey! It's Due to a recent legal battle between Hasbro and Chanel SA, I'm not allowed to call this pony by her true name, and instead I have to call her Miss Pamel. But screw Lugatti, I'm sticking to canon. It's Coco Pamel! Yeah! Take that, Chanel! Unfortunately, Coco Pamel isn't feeling well, and won't be able to help Rarity with the grand opening of Rarity for You. Rarity appears like she's on the brink of losing it between the raccoons, the landlord's daughter, the loud music, and everything else going wrong. Her friends try to lift her spirits and encourage her, but she stops them in their tracks, saying that this is Manhattan, and she won't be successful here unless everything is absolutely perfect. When Twi suggests postponing the opening, Rarity says they can't because tonight is the final night of the fall season, which again proves my point from earlier that this time constraint was extremely contrived and unnatural for Rarity.
Yes, I know what needs to be done. I just need more of me. Oh, how I wish I could make copies of myself. Yeah, making copies of yourself always sounds like a great idea, but before you know it, you're locked in a room with 50 Pinkie Pies watching paint dry.
In all seriousness, though, this is a pretty great nod to Too Many Pinkie Pies. Apparently, Rarity didn't even bother to hire employees beforehand, too. This has now gone beyond out of character and into straight-up negligence. We then see each of the main 5 trying to take care of a specific problem in the way they think Rarity would want them to. Pinkie tries to deal with the club scene upstairs, Dashy tries to hire some sales associates, Applejack deals with Plaid Stripes, Twilight organizes the merchandise, and Flutters talks to the raccoons while Rarity works on the window display. It's pretty clear that they aren't handling the problems very well. When Rarity tries to leave the window display to check up on them, since everything is still a total disaster, Twilight locks her inside. When the main 5 group up, it's discovered that they had been handling things the way they expected Rarity would want them to be handled, and Twilight says that Rarity let them help her because she trusted them all to solve the problems their own way, rather than the way she would want them to be solved. This, of course, is the moral for this episode. I'd say it's mediocre. It's certainly not terrible, but also not that applicable to a wide array of social situations. Later, after all the problems are taken care of, Twilight lets Rarity out of the window display.
Well, looks like we fixed that door just in time. Oh, what's all this?
Get out.
Sir, if there's anything I can bring...
Get out!
Each of the girls put their own unique solution to the problems Rarity was facing, most of which just feature repurposing them to make them useful to the boutique's opening. I don't know how believable this is, but at least it teaches the moral and keeps the story from being so predictable. We close out this episode with Rarity finishing the article and not feeling upset about what her friends told the reporter, but instead confused about why these problems weren't brought to her attention. Her friends say they didn't want to further stress her out or to make the opening seem less than perfect, but Rarity said she trusted them all along to pull through in the end. So, what did I think of the Saddle Row review? I think this episode's plot is far too similar to others we've seen in the show already. The race against the clock mechanic of storytelling is starting to get a bit overdone in this franchise. Many of the season premieres and finales have followed this formula, as well as episodes such as Lesson 0, It's About Time, Castle Sweet Castle, Do Princesses Dream of Magic Sheep, and even Spice Up Your Life from later this season. Rarity's entrepreneur storyline can also get dull very easily because of the power the writers have put her in. Because she's presumably the oldest of the main six and is shown to be the most wealthy among them, she often has the resources to obtain her goals when it comes to being a business mare. We've never seen Rarity struggle to make her dreams of opening a boutique in a major location come true. She's always just done it, and any struggles she then faces are secondary. For once, it would be nice to see Rarity have a hard time coming up with money to buy a location or pay for one she already has. Maybe something happens that threatens to shut down one of her locations and she has to stop it. Granted, this episode did come closer to that ideal plot for an episode about Rarity opening up a new boutique than Canterlot Boutique did, but having a successful or unsuccessful opening night doesn't really equate to obtaining or maintaining the store. I did, however, like the back and forth between the past events at the opening night and the interviews with the reporter. It was a unique way of going about this episode and delivering the narrative. This isn't a bad episode, and it's definitely entertaining, but it's also not the best Rarity-centric episode you could watch. Unless you're just looking to kill some time with MLP, I'd say this episode is better left with a skip it rating. As always, I am Critical Thought, and I will see you all in my next video. Never stop thinking critically.